Hello everyone, Ben Lukes here. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I want to start a new series on what I wish I'd learnt at university. As you can see in my previous series, I talked about how to land that dream job outside of university. But in this series, I want to talk about some more practical tips that may help you get started in the world of business. So today's video is going to be focusing on the importance of networking events and how to really ace a networking event. The first point I want to make is dress to impress. Now, you know in my previous videos I've spoken about the importance of making a good first impression when it comes to job interviews. But the thing about job interviews is that you may only be meeting with maybe 1, 2 or 3 people from that one organisation. In a networking event, you're likely to be meeting with dozens of people across a broad range of organisations, and those people may hold varying levels of seniority within their companies as well. So my advice would be for you to try and make a good first impression on all of those people that you meet at a networking event. And the key to doing that is to aim to be the best dressed person in the room. Now, in saying this, I emphasise to you, don't worry about what event it is, don't worry about the venue, because honestly, if you go in there looking the absolute best you possibly can, people are either going to think that you are very important or very ambitious, and either way, that's a good thing for you. The second point I want to make is a very important question when it comes to every networking event. Who is the most important person in the room? That's the question you should be asking yourself at every single networking event you go to. See, the truth of the matter is that when you go to a networking event, there may be dozens of people there, as I mentioned earlier, and chances are you're not going to have time to speak to every single person in the room. So you need to be strategic. Try to find out in your mind who is the most important person in the room and make a solid effort to introduce yourself to that person. Now, in some cases, answering that question may be easier than other times. For example, a networking event may have invited a special guest to be a keynote speaker that night. That's the kind of person you should definitely speak to at a networking event. Alternatively, some networking events actually send out a list of guests in advance. And if that is the case, you definitely would be wise to study that list in advance and actually identify people that you would like to speak to on the night. Now, if that's not the case, then you might need to rely on some other tactics when you arrive at the event itself. For example, have a look around the room and see who else is dressed very well. And I know I mentioned in the previous point about how you should aim to be the best dressed person in the room, but trust me, if you find someone who's dressed as well as you, or looks even better, you should definitely speak to them. Also, have a look at the person's name tag as well. Are there some really prominent organisations that they work for? They may be people you should be interested in speaking to as well. Even better, if you actually recognise the names of people based on their name tags and you already know them by reputation, you should definitely go out of your way to speak to them as well before the event ends. The third point I want to make is don't be shy. Remember, at networking events, people are expecting to be meeting with other new people they haven't met before. That's a very important point to remember. So please, be courageous, be bold. Don't be afraid to initiate a conversation with someone you haven't met before. And just remember, networking events aren't like a friend's party. You don't have to wait for one of your friends to introduce you to someone else before you initiate a conversation with them. On a practical level, don't be afraid to approach someone who may be not speaking to someone at the time and give them a smile, or even better, raise your glass at them and see how they respond. Because chances are, at a networking event, they'll be more than happy to talk to you and meet someone new. The fourth point I want to mention is that people love to talk about themselves. And this is a very important lesson to remember when you go to a networking event. See, this lesson is actually drawn from Dale Carnegie's classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And if you haven't already read the book, I would highly encourage you to do so. Because the truth is, people do love to talk about themselves. They love to talk about their work, what they are involved in. So be sure to ask them lots of questions that really give them a chance to answer those kind of questions as well. So for example, how is your work going? What projects are you involved in? How long have you been working for the organisation? These questions really give the other person a chance to draw out information about themselves and talk about what they're passionate about as well. And the advantage for you is that that gives you an opportunity to learn a lot about the other person as well. And those insights can be really important when you go into a follow-up meeting or send a follow-up message to that person after the event as well. So don't be afraid to give the other person the chance to talk about themselves, because you know what? They'll really appreciate it, and they'll also put you in a very positive light. The final point I wanted to discuss is about business cards. Now, I am assuming that you will be going to a networking event with your own business cards. Perhaps they may be cards that the organisation you are working for has provided you with. Alternatively, if you're still a student at university, don't be afraid to go online and design your own business cards. You will find sites like canva.com have a great range of designs available, and those business cards can be shipped to your house at a reasonable cost as well. But it's really important to have something tangible which you can give to another person when you meet them at a networking event. Now, while we're on the topic of business cards, let's talk about the art of business card exchange. And before you ask the question, yes, there is an art to it. You may have read previously how in some regions of Asia, people at networking events receive business cards with two hands. Personally, I've actually adopted a similar approach anywhere I am in the world, because it really shows the other person that you are treating their business card like you are receiving a gift from them. And I think that's a very important thing to realise. A business card from another person should be treated as a gift, and it should be accepted with gratitude, because that business card could be the starting point of a long-term working relationship. So remember to treat the reception of that business card in the same light. The second point I wanted to discuss is having your own business card holder, very similar to the one I have here as well. And I know these business card holders can be a bit of a pain to open up, especially if you've got a wine glass in your hand, but again, it really shows the effort that you are going to in order to look after the business cards that you give to other people, as opposed to giving someone a business card that may be in your dirty pocket or your dirty handbag, for example. Again, it is the little things that do count. And also, when receiving someone's business card, be sure to have a look over the card, both front and back, before you put it in your own pocket. Have a look at some of the details on the card as well, and see if you can make a comment or ask a question about the person's business card based on the information provided. For example, you may say, "Oh, that's a very nice job title you have," or "Oh, you work on XYZ Street, that must be a very good place to work." Again, the little details do matter, and people really appreciate it when you actually notice these little things. I really hope this video has given you some practical ideas about networking events. And you know, the truth is, there's many other tips I could share with you as well, so be sure to stay tuned to this channel, because I'm sure there will be a follow-up video on how to perform well at networking events. But in the meantime, please like this video, leave a question or comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.